This is a lecture from Open Tuition. For the free lecture notes that go with this podcast, please visit opentuition.com.
Page 47. In a group situation, it would not be unusual for the parent company to deal with the subsidiary. The subsidiary may supply goods to the parent, or even the other way around. The parent may be supplying goods to the subsidiary. So I'm going to have a subsidiary Vita. Here's my subsidiary, and I'm selling goods to Vita, and she's buying goods from me. What's the double entry that I will record in my records for 10,000 sales to Vita? In my records, I'm going to debit a Vita current account and credit sales. In her records, she's going to debit purchases and credit a Mike current account. At the end of the year, the liability in Vita's records should be the same figure as the asset in my records. But then when we get together and we consolidate, when we produce the financial statements as though we were a single company, I'll be showing a liability owed to myself as an asset. So when we consolidate the results of the group, we have to eliminate the intra-group balances. The liability in Vita's records will cancel against the asset in my records. The liability in my records will cancel against the asset in Ginter's records. And we have to cancel all these intergroup balances. Those of you who are auditors will recognize this. It's a routine step within auditing. Yeah? Yeah. In an exam situation, it is most likely the case that these intra-group current accounts don't equal each other. There will be differences. There will be errors. Not me, it'll be Vita that's made the error. There'll be errors. There'll be things like management charges, where every year I pay all the Vita admin expenses, and then at the end of the year I charge Vita for the benefit that I have given her by looking after all her accounting for her, or the management charge, or providing her with expertise. So I'll raise a management invoice. I'll debit Vita and I'll credit my admin expenses. Now she may have been a little bit cute, a little bit smart here, and before I've done it she may have said, well, Mike raised an invoice on me last year for management services. What I'll do is I'll credit Mike and I'll debit my own admin expenses in her records. She may have done it before I've decided whether to or even how much. She may have estimated it. So it could be that either she has anticipated the charge and I haven't, or I have anticipated the charge but I've not told her, or neither of us has anticipated it and now we need to put the adjustment through, or we've both anticipated it. So those are the four possibilities. We both have, or I have and she hasn't, or she has and I haven't, or we've neither of us done it. We've neither of us done it. And in that situation, adjustments need to be made. If we both anticipated, no adjustment. If we've neither of us anticipated, adjusted in her records, adjusted in my records, but this is not going to help to reconcile the balance because she's not anticipated and I haven't. The real difficulty is where she has and I haven't, or I have and she hasn't, because the current accounts won't be the same. So there's two reasons why the current accounts don't reconcile. First, an error has been made either in her records or in mine. Wherever the mistake is made, correct that mistake in the records of the company which made the mistake. If it's a management charge situation, correct it in the records of the company that has not yet made the management charge, if that's what the question directs you to do. But there are two other, more common reasons why the current accounts don't reconcile. And that is, how stupid this is of me, but it happens in exam questions. I've got a year end of 30th of September. On the 29th of September, I give to DHL some goods to deliver to Vita. DHL take 4 days. She doesn't receive them until the 3rd of October. They're not in my inventory because my inventory is counted and valued. They're not in her inventory because her inventory is also counted and valued, and this inventory still within the group is in the hands of DHL. So I've not counted it and she's not counted it. I have recorded it as a sale. She hasn't recorded it as a purchase. The rule for in-transit items is to accelerate those items into the receiving company. On the face of Vita's accounting records, which will be given to you, you will need to increase her inventory and increase her liability to the parent company. Inventory will go up, obligations will go up. So she's still in balance. Okay. Do that adjustment on the face of your question paper. If you don't, there is a good chance you will forget it when it comes to adding across inventory. If you don't write the adjustment on the face of your question paper, there's a really good chance that you will forget it. In the adrenaline rush of getting near the end of your balance sheet, you're likely to forget that adjustment. Having written it on your question paper, you should also write it in your answer paper, because your question paper is not handed in for marking. So the marker doesn't know whether you have seen this adjustment necessary. So it must also be reflected in your answer paper, but also then write it in your question paper and in your answer paper. That's for goods in transit, going from me to her. Another reason why these current accounts may not agree is because on the 28th of September, Vita wrote a cheque payment. I know you're not familiar with cheque payments, but a cheque payment is a piece of paper instructing her bank to pay my bank money in my account. She will have written this cheque payment and she will have put it in an envelope and mailed it, surface mail, to me. And it's still on the way to me. I've not yet received it. I don't receive it until the 2nd of October. She has recorded it as a payment. I have not yet received it. I have not recorded it as a receipt. The rule: accelerate the in-transit items. Pretend that I have actually received it. Bring it into my records. The double entry on the question paper is to increase my cash and decrease my accounts receivable, her current account in my accounts receivable. Accelerate the in-transit items into the records of the receiving company. There is likely going to be an in-transit item in the exam. Accelerate it through. Let's have a look at this page 47. I've said everything on page 47. I've just told you everything there. You read it. I'm not rushing you. You read page 47. Make sure that what I said was not lying to you. I have been known by accident to tell lies. I'm on to page 48, Urata and Deauville. Down the bottom of the question it says, prepare a consolidated statement of financial position. There was cash in transit of 30,000 from Deauville to Urata. And there were goods dispatched by Urata to Deauville before the year end, invoiced at 10,000. These were not received by Deauville until 4th of January. These goods had originally cost 10,000. They were invoiced at 10,000. Urata bought the goods 10,000 and immediately shipped them out to Deauville. And we're going to value the NCI of Deauville on a proportionate basis. I think we have to assume that there's no impairment of goodwill. There's no indication of any impairment of goodwill. So assume that goodwill is not impaired. Make the adjustments for the in-transit items. Make these adjustments on the face of the question paper. Remembering that Urata is in Tashkent and Deauville is in Washington. So you can't double enter across 83,000 kilometers. Double entry must be in Deauville, double entry must be in Urata. The debits and the credits, there should be a debit and a credit in Deauville, there should be a debit and a credit in Urata. What about this? What is going to be the adjustment in respect of the 30,000 cash? Who's going to receive this 30,000 cash, Ekaterina? Urata's going to receive the 30,000. So pretend that she has received it. She's just not yet recorded it. So what's the adjustment in Urata's books for the 30,000 cash? Irina.
Credit receivables?
Yeah, we're going to increase Urata's cash by 30 and decrease Urata's receivables by 30. What about the 10,000 goods which have gone from Urata to Deauville? When Deauville receives these goods, how will this affect Deauville's balance sheet? We're going to increase Deauville's inventory by 10, and we're going to increase Deauville's payables by 10. The amount payable to Urata. The receivable now from Deauville is 90 minus 30. The payable by Deauville to Urata is 50 plus 10. Cancel the 60 receivable against the 60 payable, and that's the job done. And if you look at page 49, it's actually done for you. The 30 adjustment is made against the Urata receivables and cash. The 10 adjustment is made in Deauville against inventory and Urata payable. And then at the bottom of page 49, at the end of the figures, now cancel 60 receivable from Deauville against 60 payable to Urata. And then do the consolidation. But that's something that I want you to do this evening. The Urata Deauville consolidation, I want you to do it this evening.